Hello, welcome to Nintendo Nostalgia. We are finally back, and we are really playing with power. I'm with my co-host Ryan Black. Guys, welcome back. We're so excited to be here for you. It's been a long time. I mean, honestly, to be honest, Ryan, we might be talking to no one right now.
Most likely.
we've been gone so long, and we're probably going to have to rebuild our listenership. But guys, if you are a longtime listener fan and you happen to click on this new episode that you see launched, please share the word. We're back. We're really playing with power. Ryan and I are we've kind of like hit the reset on the whole podcast, and we both felt like him and I are in good place in life to where we feel like we can commit regularly every single week to make this happen. Is life easier? Maybe, yeah. I think like priorities are set in place and are working well, but at the same time, life's still busy. Like I had a rush here because I was getting out of school, picking up one of my kids, exercising real fast, and then picking up another kid and getting home and getting everything set up. So things are still crazy, but I feel like they're so not just that they're more manageable for me personally, but my mental state, my emotional being of everything that I had gone through in the past handful of years has really, I've really felt like I just this year kind of like my old self again. I really honestly mean that. And that mentally, spiritually, am I perfect? No, I don't know if I ever will be, but I definitely feel like I'm my older self now. Ryan, they don't want to just hear from me. How about you, man? How you doing? I'm so glad and happy to be back talking with you. Yeah, man. Say hi to the crowd and what's up?
Hey, first I want to say happy Halloween to everybody. It's our anniversary, and we'll get into that as the main topic of the show. But I'm doing all right. A lot of medical stuff still going on with Draco, but we're doing all right. The medical stuff has kept us from going and getting things done for the party we have coming up. We have a Halloween party after Halloween, just so that it's kind of a last hurrah before heading into Thanksgiving and Christmas and finishing out the year. So we're a little bit behind on the getting things ready and building the props and everything, but we'll get there. I'm having a good time at work. I love my job so much. I'm troubleshooting advanced issues and things, and just knocking out of the park in a lot of ways. This past week was really tough, but we're hanging in there and doing all right. I finally have another team member on my team to work with, so that's helped out a lot with the workload. And I feel like I'm succeeding a lot more now, now that I have some help and it's not just one person running everything. So on that tier. So yeah, other than that, nothing really new. I've been playing some video games here, but I think that's a good time to talk about what we are radical Rexing about.
Oh, perfect segue, Ryan. Perfect segue. I guess I'll go first, just because I've maybe been absent from this show the longest, and I'm first things first. I've been radical rexing about just this show happening. I mean, Ryan and I, we've been talking about it since summer, and we set a deadline. Let's start hashing things out and getting things planned. I mean, it feels like when this podcast first started, I mean, Ryan and I, we were able to talk and easily meet up and easily plan out the next, 3 to 4 months. I mean, we have got it all mapped out of what we're going to do. And guys, it does. The emotions in my heart I feel right now are like when Ryan and I first wanted to start this podcast back in the Wii U days. And to me, that's exciting. And that means that the content you're getting from us is not forced. It's not like just doing it to do it. At this point, we I feel like we have fresh energy, and we will revisit old topics with a newer perspective, because I think perspectives change a lot, and we'll continue on with stuff that we started but never got to even finish or explore more. But I'm radical rexing about this show and doing it with you, Ryan. Ultimately, this show is a great way for our friendship to continue to connect on a regular basis. With the busyness of life, This, I didn't want to do a podcast with anybody else but you, and it was a way for us to reconnect in adult life, because I know our own schedules and lives, we get so hectic. I mean, sometimes it's easy to go weeks, if not months, without really a direct communication. But this podcast, I feel like, really helps you and I to stay connected weekly, not just through passive text messages through our group chat or whatnot, but I'm excited about that. I did just have my 33rd birthday back last Sunday. But
congrats, old man.
Thank you. Well, when this podcast started in 2017, I had just turned 27. So now I'm 33. Wow. That's insane. That is really insane. But the show, I'm excited about the show, excited about my birthday that just happened. You guys did get to come over. It was funny because it turned out a bunch of you guys actually couldn't come. We were just going to hang out. And then all of a sudden, like with the same day or the day or two, like 2 or 3 of you guys like, hey, plans changed, I can come. Like, okay. So I went from being afraid of like not having enough, I went from like, okay, I got enough food, not many people. And like, okay, crap, I hope I have enough stuff for everybody when they come over. And we were just fine. We played silly games. We played the trombone champ game. That was really stupid and hilarious. With Traven, he always loves to get the dumb games and that no one would ever play. And that was really funny. I got Spider-Man 2 for the PS5, which you probably never would have heard me say that 7 years ago when this podcast started, that I did get a PS5. I don't know if I've said that. I did get one back in like the winterish when there wasn't nothing on Switch, and I had a spare Switch around and traded it in and went towards getting this PS5 and got Ragnarok, and I played God of War, and so I got Spider-Man 2 and I got Spider-Man 1 and with the Miles Morales stuff. And because I'm such a busy adult, all I've done with those games is watch my son play them. So he was so excited. He was like, "Oh, thank you so much, Daddy." I was like, "You're welcome. They're my gifts." But okay. So I mean, as a matter of fact, he's out there playing Spider-Man 2 right now. And he's 4, almost 5 now, and he just, he doesn't know what he's doing, but at the same time, he does some really impressive stuff for being so young. It's really fun to watch him interact with the game, and he just has a blast. He just loves beating people up. So, so I got those. I got the Donkey Kong Lego set. Well, one of them, and I'm gonna put that together. I got some shirts. I got Pikmin 4, and I did get Mario Wonder for Lindsay, actually, for like an early birthday gift for her, because Mario really is her jam. So I bought it for her last Friday. Her birthday's not till next month, but and we've been playing it together. So
awesome.
Haven't been super. We're like still in World 2. We actually might play it later on tonight, but that's what I've been radical rexing about. Oh, and the new Blink-182 album dropped last week. I had an amazing birthday. Everything at the same time. It's like wild. Really am in love with it. It's true return to form for Blink. I feel like a teenager again. I keep telling my students to listen to the album, and I'm just over the moon with everything right now. Even though if the only thing I wish I could change is I wish I could actually play my video games. I did get to play Pikmin 4 today during my prep period at work.
Cool.
I didn't have anything to go on, and then once you dive into it, it's like you start to get addicted. Like it's the same. That's kind of how life is for me right now. It's like I always have a hard time getting something going. Like, if I have to study for something, it's hard to get the ball going, and I put it off. But then once I start studying, then it's like I don't want to stop, and I'm just rolling down this hill and constantly studying as much as I can. It's the same thing with eating right and exercising. It would be hard to get out of this funk, and then I start it, and I'm like so strict and good, and hard to stop. It's the same thing with video games now. Like, it takes me forever to. I have a hard time being motivated to do something because I don't want to do it and then be stopped by something. So if I try to play Pikmin 4 at night and I'm like really tired, I'm not really going to enjoy it or know what's happening. So I'd rather just not start it.
Yeah.
But today I really got to start it and dive in more, and I just was having a blast. I was like, man, this is so fun. This is why this game is fun. This is why I'm glad I got it. So that is what I'm radical rexing about. What are you radical rexing about, Ryan?
Well, let's see here. I think lately the trend has been being a video game hoarder. I am building my backlog, with collections of games, and eventually I'll get around to playing them. But I don't have a lot of time to game, other than like I've been kind of playing a lot of Pokemon Go, just on the go and walking around a lot. And the thing that was really driving me was there's a chance to unlock a second Master Ball, and so like I was really like grinding it out, and finally got the Master Ball a couple days ago, and felt pretty accomplished by that. And then of course they launched with a bunch of like Halloween costume Pokemon, so I'm enjoying catching those new Pokemon and just kind of coming down off of the obsession with Pokemon Go, which I usually do around this time of year, and then it gets cold and I'm not too interested in it. And then I don't pick it up till next year when it gets warmer again. But I'm doing a lot of Pokemon Go. I've already identified my game of the year this year, Sea of Stars. I'm sure that's on many people's top contenders for game of the year. And I can say that with full confidence. There's no way that a Mario game could ever be my top game. I don't think. I would be surprised, but
yeah, you hate Mario now, right?
Oh no, I love Mario. I love 2D Mario especially. I'm high hopes that this new Mario Wonder is going to be at least on par with Super Mario Brothers 3 and Super Mario World, and kind of capture that nostalgia. I'm really hoping. But I have only played like one level. That's about it. So I've got a lot to do on that game. But it's also something I want to play with Draco here and there as well. But I'm not going to like wait to play with Draco. But I do need to experience that multiplayer. What that's like. I've also picked up a couple other games here or there that I haven't been able to I haven't had time to play really. Right. I don't know how you pronounce it, but Bata and Kaidos, I think is what it is. 1 and 2. I got that. I got the physical version from Play Asia.
Nostalgia, bro.
Pre-ordered that. I picked up Dementium.
You had this as a kid, right? Didn't you have Bat and Kaitos?
No, it was Brad that had that one, and I was always talking to him about it because he was the Fire Emblem and Bat and Kaitos guy, and I was like, man, I'd love to play this game, but I never got around to it. Like,
what was the weird obscure game you were always in?
It was Lost Kingdoms.
Lost Kingdom. Okay.
Yeah, and they were both card-based games.
Right? Yes.
No, they're very different. But they still had card battling system. Just one's more of an RPG, one's more of like a I
just remember them being out on the GameCube, and they both look. I think they came out around the same time. They looked really like cool and unique, and like definitely made grab your interest back in those Nintendo Power magazines that we had back in the day. But I never had either. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I also grabbed the Castlevania collection just for the heck of it because it was super cheap and I had points to spend.
Nice.
I picked up Jules Watson's Renegade Kid, a 2E. I picked up his Dementium game. They just recently got the rights to port it to Switch. So I'm like, sure, I'll grab that. It's a scary game. I haven't started it yet because I'm not been in the mood to play a scary game. But and then I picked up Ace Attorney Collection. It's like a trilogy. And of course I got Mario Wonder, but other than that, I did buy for Jacob's birthday. I got him Inscription and Sea of Stars, so he's going to get to experience that. Yeah, I personally have been through Sea of Stars. I've 100%ed it twice.
How long is the game? Base game?
I mean, like maybe 40 hours.
Okay.
If you want to get everything, it's a little longer. Like my 2 playthroughs have equaled to about 100 hours. So that's because I did everything and wanted to do everything again. And I wanted to get all I could out of the story and everything. So that's and a lot of the stuff is already done for you on the second playthrough. It's just there's an achievement that you can get if you start the game again and get to a certain point in the game with that item that you have. So
right.
So I wanted to get all of that, and then I just said like, well, I'm already here. I might as well just finish the rest of the game. And I just love the story so much, and the music is amazing. It's a pretty game. The gameplay is just really fun. It's Paper Mario or like Mario and Luigi or Mario RPG. It's that feeling, and it's really simple combat too.
That makes me excited.
They don't really encourage you to grind at all. Like you maybe have to grind, but not really. No. If you avoid a bunch of enemies, like eventually, like you'll be a little underleveled, but it's not really meant to grind at all. And it's so good. Like it feels really good. The music has touching moments. The story has like, I don't know, 4 or 5 different plot twists that are just really, really really hit home.
Yeah.
And just I loved every bit of it when I played it first time, second time. Yeah, they did a phenomenal job, and I'm actually tempted to go play The Messenger because of that. Because there's tie-ins from The Messenger and Sea of Stars, since they're in the same universe, just many, many years apart, like hundreds of years.
So The Messenger's like, that's the ninja game, right?
Yeah.
Which I have, but I never beat. But that's really cool that they're connected.
Yep. They're in the same world, that. And you'll actually, there's an area or two in The Messenger that you'll visit, granted many years before in Sea of Stars.
Wow.
You kind of set you set in motion some things, and there's a lot of Easter eggs and things that tie into that. So
wow,
they have just done a phenomenal job. It captures the old spirit of classical RPGs in a perfect way, and it's beautiful. I hope that they can do more. They did confirm they're going to do some DLC, which I'm looking forward to. I'm wondering if it has something to do with the Vampire Rose or something else.
Right.
But yeah, I was worried at the end, getting to the end of that game, that they weren't going to wrap up everything, because like there's some things that I didn't do in the game, and some things that I like. Oh, I wonder what that's about. I can't do anything with that, and then it just all wraps up so perfectly when you get through. There is a normal ending, and then there's a perfect ending, or like a better ending. So collect those seashells, there's 60 seashells to get, and then that pretty much unlocks the best ending.
Okay.
But you have to basically play through the game all the way through, beat the final boss, then start your game again, and then that's when you're prompted to do the little things at the end, and the extra quests at the end just make it the perfect story.
Right.
Honestly, it's so good.
Cool.
But yeah.
That's awesome. Wow. I'm excited to dive into the game. I know you bought it for me. Again, like with all my games, I just haven't had time to play it. I think, the last time I really had time where I sat down was Zelda, and then that was over summer break. And it's even weird being like a responsible adult. Like even when I do sit down and game, I feel in a way guilty. Like I feel like I could be cleaning the house, taking better care of the animals, or doing something fun with the kids if I'm there. Like there's like this form of guilt way. But that's
never
I guess,
feel guilty for self-care.
Yeah, and I try not to. I just with Zelda, I mean, that was every day. I was waking up every day and I would play for hours on it. I felt like I wasn't making much progress too. That's because there was so much to do in that game. That's another story for another time. But well, Ryan, I think let's not waste our listeners' time. Let's get into what this whole topic is about. What's the title for today, Ryan?
Today we are talking about nostalgia of time. Okay, so we were looking back. We realized this is 7 years of the podcast. Crazy to think that we've been around that long. So we were thinking, like,
Kinda.
this is like kind of that span of time between, like, young Link doing his thing, and then, waking up 7 years later as adult Link, and like, that's a lot of time. And coming back to this podcast. We've been appearing here or there, and thank you so much to Chris and Josh for carrying us, through these times where with an episode here or there just to keep the show going. This whole time we were technically not completely shut down. We had special episodes here or there and little things, so we weren't like completely inactive, but, we weren't around in any official capacity regularly at all.
Right.
And now we're ready to get back into it, and, ready to take on Ganon and Free versus Zelda. So we just kind of want to take a look back at the years and nostalgia that we've had all this time, and really appreciate the listeners, the community that we've built that's still going strong on Facebook. And then just talking about like where we've been and how we've grown in that time. So
sure. And like I just want to echo what Ryan said. We had Chris and Josh on the show regularly, and they were here to help fill a void and a gap that we were going through. Moving forward, it will just be Ryan and I regularly, with, I'm sure, Chris and Josh may dip in here and there as a guest. And we're just really trying to take the show back to its roots of what we started back 7 years ago, when it was a little bit more simplified, less complicated to handle, and where you get a guest that we consider part of our NOS crew or a guest from another show, dipping back in on the show and covering a game or a topic with us. And you'll see that we will have that. But we are taking this back to 7 years ago, and we are starting, kind of again, fresh. Again, it's like a brand new, it's kind of like Blink-182. Their new album just dropped. It's kind of like a rebirth for their band. And I view this as like a rebirth for us in this podcast. And, we're excited. We really are excited to do this. Let's think back when this podcast first started. The idea came because I was working in a warehouse at the time, and I could listen to everything on earth, and because I literally just work mindlessly with your headphones in, I was getting bored of music. You can listen to music so much, and I didn't have Spotify. I don't even. When did Spotify even come out? I don't think it was a thing back then.
I don't think so.
Because
we had Pandora still, we had Pandora at the time. I think that was probably the closest thing.
Yeah, I was using my iTunes regularly. I barely use iTunes now, but because of Spotify, I would discovered so much, and I remember like being limited on what I had to listen to. Scarcity. I teach economics now, in case you didn't know. Music was scarce, but I started to find podcasts through Apple, and I discovered Nintendo Dads. I discovered the IGN one, Nintendo Voice Chat. I discovered YouTube shows like Game Explain. I discovered, and I heard, so when I was listening to the Nintendo Dads, which is a regular one I listened to, I heard a guest on there named Bobby Pauls, and he was the Nintendo guru, and I really loved what this guy was saying. He was really entertaining. So I followed his stuff, and I reached out to him just on a whim. Most of the time, you try to you figure what the heck, most of the time you reach out to people, they don't get back to you. And I was not expecting him to ever reach back out, and he did. And he met with Ryan and I, with his buddy Sean Capri, who you guys have heard both of them on the show in the past. And they met with us. They helped us figure out a name. They really took us under their wing. And forever, Nintendo's Nostalgia will always be grateful for both of them. You talk about what has happened over the past 7 years. Unfortunately, Bobby Pauls has passed away now because of the COVID era. And it really does still seem surreal. I honestly just thought about him last week or this week. I was thinking, like, I wonder what he would be thinking right now with, like, what Nintendo has done since then, and the games that have come out and where Nintendo's going. I am sad that we live in a world now where we don't get to hear his opinions and see his excitement or his frustrations towards stuff.
Kirby.
It is so devastating to have lost someone like him. I think anybody who has listened to this family community of podcasts, they know who Bobby Pauls is. Thankfully, Sean is good and going strong and still tries to carry on that torch. But, we will forever miss you, Bobby. But it's because of him that this show got going. Him and Sean both helped us figure out the name Nintendo Nostalgia, which I think was a clever name. When you think of Nintendo and you talk about the nostalgia, I hope our podcast pops up in your brain. That was the intent. Like, oh yeah, we can go back and listen to these episodes. I know we have friends of the show that have been re-listening to all the old episodes because they've missed the show and they've missed the format. And I just, I updated a buddy of mine that Hey, we're recording our first new episode back tonight, and he is just so giddy, and it's exciting, and we're excited to be back doing this. But that's how we started, and it's weird that we started in the Wii U days before. Well, we started, Ryan. This podcast really started. It started during a time that I was really frustrated with everybody else because everybody hated Nintendo. It was back to the doom and gloom talk of Nintendo just needs to go third party. They need to sell out and stop making systems. The Wii U sucks. The Wii U has issues. And it was a time that it was almost, I wasn't embarrassed, but you had to I was very defensive when I talked about Nintendo because I was like,
yeah, and everybody was down on Nintendo. Like, Nintendo should sell out. Nintendo should go and, give their games to Xbox and PlayStation and go third party and not make any more systems and just really, really crapping on Nintendo. And it's like, Nintendo's not down and out. Like, they are the game making kings. Like, right. They are good to go, and they still have ideas. Like, Nintendo has not exhausted all of its cool ideas, and they hit it home with the Switch and everything. But
absolutely,
but still, like, it's really, really cool that we had an era where Nintendo sucked, and we were able to be the Nintendo fans. We've always loved Nintendo. We were able to have a voice, and that's what this platform was. This vehicle that we used to speak our voice and to talk about the things that we loved from the past and bring people into the new again. Like, if they've lapsed on Nintendo, but hey, Nintendo is not for kids. Nintendo is for everybody. And drive that home. Yeah, they have kiddie games. Yeah, they have games that may come across as kiddie, but the difficulty spike or the challenges that you can do, you can make it as easy as you want or as hard as you want, and it's accessible, and that's the big thing. And it's for all audiences. It's not just for mature people who want to shoot each other online with the best graphics. And eventually Nintendo is going to get to that point where the technology is cheap enough. They're going to have amazing graphics. It's going to look, it's going to, match with everybody else. But it's really what they bring to the table with innovation and fun that really makes them shine. And we will shout that out forever, I believe.
For sure. And, I don't think, back to your statement, I don't think we're too far off with a Switch successor. And it's kind of ironic that not ironic. I want to say it's poetic that we're actually coming back as a show because, right now, the rumor mill is spinning, and we are on the cusp of a new generation hop. Switch 2, code name, whatever we're going to call it. That's what's cooking right now, and that's what people are talking about with rumors, and that's what was happening with in the Wii U days. It was premature, killed off because of how bad it was doing. But we were talking about NX all this time in the rumors. What is NX? No one knew, and then we finally had that reveal in October, and that was exciting too because if you remember, Nintendo had just gone away from doing live events, and it was kind of like a bummer. We felt like Nintendo was really down and out. They were not doing a live event, E3, and then they started to do. That's when they were starting to do their directs, and it was really cool to see them do a live event, show off the Switch and to show off the games. And man, we've come so far since then. The Switch, all the games they showed at that press release, the Switch they're out, and we're well beyond that, and have sequels to those. And if they made sequels, and it's wild. The Switch is a monster of a machine. It's still it's the best selling console on the market. Nintendo looks so different than they did when this show started, and I hope that continues. I really do, because I think if it does, even though the Wii U years were hard and you can learn a lot from them, we don't like to have to go through them. So I hope we don't have to go through that.
Yeah, I really, really love that we got to see, Nintendo become top king again. Like, literally, the Switch has all of my favorite games on it. Like, literally from growing up, there are maybe one or two franchises that haven't made it onto the Switch in some form or fashion. And I'm blown away every time they announce my favorite game. One of my favorite games, in different points of my life is coming to the Switch. And Like they just brought all of the best stuff out, and the big part is the third parties backing Nintendo and getting their everything on the system because they can play it anywhere. It's something that none of the other consoles are doing, and you could just could play modern gen games anywhere you want.
Yep.
And enjoy those things and however you want. If you want to put it on the TV, you can. So it was just the perfect storm, and boosted. Like I don't think Nintendo would probably be doing as well as it is now if, COVID hadn't happened and everybody jumped on the Animal Crossing train and got Switches. That was another boost. Like,
whoa, I mean, luck was on their side, honestly.
Yeah, it was the best timing, to have something to do when you're stuck at home and can't go anywhere. And, and if you wanted to go on the go, you could still take the Switch on the go. You don't have to sit on the TV all day. You can take it and lay in bed and play a little bit before you go to sleep. And you can, take it on the train ride or the bus ride or what have you. Like you can just literally make your game time to fit in wherever you need it, whatever you need to self-care and you need to space out for a second to de-stress. Nintendo's right there. You can play it and you're good. So it's
right.
It's wonderful to see, we grew up with Game Boys and things. Like we had batteries we had to figure out, or charging things. Or before that, we had to come up with lighting along with batteries. And so we've had those things, and the rechargeable batteries got better and better and better.
Can I just say I'm glad we live in an era where I don't have to buy batteries regularly because they are so expensive at the store.
Yeah, they are. Oh my goodness.
Always think about buying a pack for a remote or whatever to have, and I'm like, I don't want to spend $25 on a pack of batteries.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, and you can get by with going to the Dollar Tree and picking up a pack of batteries, but it's not going to last you that long. You're going to get maybe a week out of both the batteries you get if you go to 2 batteries each or something.
Yeah.
But it's really awesome that Nintendo was able to come up with a battery, and several of their devices now have had a battery that lasts 80 plus hours, and and even with the Switch, that's enabled them to do long sessions with the Switch without having to plug it in. It's actual play session length instead of just oh man, I didn't get to finish this part because my battery's dying.
Right.
But now you could just sit and actually complete that part and feel accomplished. Oh, I still have some battery left. I could save this for later. It's
or even if the battery
really
dies
cool.
on you, that the game will start right up where it left off.
And that's another thing too. Instant jump right into the game. You're right there again. You back out to the home menu. You put it to sleep. Whatever. You come back to it. You're right where you left off. There isn't any loading. You just boom. There you are. And it's just revolutionary.
It is. And the next system has a big bar to meet. It's going to have to meet that, and then It can't rely on new bells and whistles to make up for not having some of the stuff that the Switch has. I really feel like it has to bring what the Switch has with the bells and whistles to make it to separate itself.
I would say the thing that Nintendo really needs to do outside of just being their awesome selves is to make sure that they make this system easy to develop for, easy to port the next gen games to that system in some way. Whether it's 4K upscaling or whatever, as long as they can do minimal effort to get a port working on Switch and be day and date is going to be the big thing that keeps their success rolling.
Yeah,
and I still think this is going to be considered the Switch family of systems. So we're probably going to see whatever the Switch 2 is, Super Switch, whatever it's going to be. It's going to be under that Switch banner, and Switch is probably going to be the biggest Nintendo console ever. Just the family.
I think it will be like an iPad approach. The iPad didn't necessarily replace the first iPad. It's just the next iteration of the family, iPad 2. It's the same thing, but with better scales. I think they really will try, or like our cell phones. I think it'll be more like that.
They've confirmed it's still going to be a hybrid. So, I mean, they're not going to cannibalize that success that they have. It's just what are they going to do that's going to be unique with it, if they do anything unique with it? Or is it just going to be it's an OLED upgrade, but not really. It's more just upscaling in 4K. Okay, cool, but is it going to have the Joy-Cons that are, have their pros and cons?
Funny. See what you did there.
But
I'd like to, when let's hop back when we first started as a show. I remember game planning episodes and what we were talking about. And I don't know if you remember this, but I remember talking. We had an episode. I think it might have been within the first 5 or 10, but it was what games do we want back on, or what franchises do we want back on Nintendo? It was all about that because everyone had left Nintendo, and for so long we hadn't had a certain amount of games and franchises. And we talked about Dragon Ball Z. We talked about Ninja Turtles. I mean, those are the two big ones I remember being on that one. I can't remember. I know we talked about more, but definitely those two. And I remember we talked about like the classic, the Disney Collection classic that I think to this day still never came to Switch.
No, we never got this.
Bizarre and weird and really stupid on their end. But I remember we talked about what collections we wanted. And I said I wanted a Nintendo Switch collection so bad. I remember in 2017 just salivating at the mouth of thinking about having all the Ninja Turtle collections of the 2D games all in one package. And here we go. I mean, and I'm
here it is.
I'm so sad that we were not doing things regularly at the time, and we just couldn't. But I mean, it happened. It happened last year, folks. It happened, and we have a new Ninja Turtle 2D game that's modernized, and we have all the old games. My son was playing it today on the way to school. He beat the arcade again of TMNT Turtles in Time, and he was stoked about that. But you know, it's like, we got that, and we got so many other collections. The Castlevania collection you just bought. And guess what? Jurassic Park is getting a collection coming out this November, and like it's got all the games like that I loved playing with Traven as a kid, and in the Game Boy version that I got for Christmas back in the day. Like when we talk about the Switch, like man, it really has fulfilled almost all of our dreams. We got GoldenEye on the system. Games that we never...
Yeah, what even? Like, it's so cool.
Banjo-Kazooie are on the Switch. Like, the impossible has happened for multiple occasions.
And that's the crazy thing. It's not just Nintendo classics. No, like, we have games from, PlayStation and Xbox coming over, and you get to play those. Nothing like Halo or anything like that, but, like, Stubbs the Zombie was a big one on Xbox for a while. It was fun.
Think about all of the Square Enix love. Square Enix was nowhere on Nintendo for years.
We've got the first two Monster Rancher games from the PS1 era on the Switch. What even? Like, what is that? Like, how did that happen? How did that come over to Switch? Like, what?
We have all the mainline Final Fantasies, all the stuff that I used to like as a kid. Like, man, I wish something like that could be on Nintendo. It's all there. I mean, I know they're the older games, but they're there. And
you got classics, you got modern things like, Nier Automata was a huge game. I want to say it was a game of the year at some point, or it won many, many awards, especially with music and everything. And, that they were able to port that to the Switch. Like the miracle workers that were able to port some of these games to the Switch, like flawlessly is amazing. And I'd love to see like someday a documentary about how like that was made possible. And that's what I want to see carried forward is people to be able to bring that to the new Switch console as well. And Capcom has also been supporting with all their Mega Man collections and everything. I mean, they even brought, the Battle Network games as a collection. Like, they're just doing everything there.
I mean, you throw it at the wall and everything seems to stick to the Switch.
Yeah. It's a perfect family system. You can play with a bunch of people. You can play with just single person. Like, it's so versatile to include everybody. And you have like those party games on there too, which, Nintendo has always had party games like Mario Party and everything, but you've got Jackbox joining on there as well.
Yep.
And, you've got your larger like party games, I guess, where you have like Among Us and Fortnite and like those big ones like Rocket League, all of those big, like massively multiplayer online games that are, you just play in arenas, or you got arena battlers, or you've just got the, looter shooters, and you've got every genre on the system there.
Right.
And you're not going to be left wanting when you're looking for games on the Switch. There is so many things to play. And for everybody's interest, even the weird ones, like it's all there. Like you want to play Barbie, you can play Barbie. You want to play adult anime games, you can do that. Like it's all there.
Yeah. And you just think about all the life that the Switch has just, like we said, it's revitalized so much. Like Banjo-Kazooie got put in Smash. King K. Rool got put into Smash. And now people are clamoring for King K. Rool in more games. Like he's relevant again. Banjo-Kazooie merchandise is still relevant. We still have a new game, which is out of Nintendo's hands, unfortunately, but their game's on the Switch. And, I used to dream about, and the Banjo-Kazooie just being able to be played in a portable mode, and it's so surreal. You know, I turn it on just to look at it because I'm like, I can't believe this is still a thing, and it's there. GoldenEye 64 controllers are wireless. It's fun. You can play online with it. What else? Oh, you know, we talk the remakes. I mean, we've been getting HD remakes. Mario RPG is finally coming back. You know, that in an HD remasterful way. That looks beautiful. That'll be here around the Christmas season.
The Mario collection, you know, like the 3D collection.
The 3D collection, everything. And the Wii U got all their games ported over. So, you know, Nintendo did that to buffer out things, was to port Wii U games, which there's still a select few that are not on there, which is weird. But overall, I mean, we pretty much got the whole main generation of Wii U on Switch, which makes the Wii U almost obsolete. Almost,
not for the
entirely,
most part.
But yes.
The only thing it's missing is Miiverse. I mean,
Miiverse, and I mean, we won't have the Zelda Twilight or Wind Waker HD. I would love to have those. But
I have a feeling they're probably going to come with the new one, with the new Switch. We're probably going to see those in a collection or something like that. Maybe a 3D collection, which would be really cool. You
mentioned the Mario 3D collection. We got Sunshine, first time playable since the GameCube on the Switch.
Yeah.
Not just that, we got Metroid Prime HD on the Switch. Metroid, first time, like, I guess it came on the Wii, but like HDified. It looks so beautiful. It's like one of the most beautiful games on the Switch. Ryan, like, the Nintendo we knew when this podcast started has just totally done a 180, and they're on top of the mountain again. And, you know, hopefully they stick the landing well with the next console, because they're on a roll, and I would hate to see them fumble the football and go backwards a bit. But overall, I'm really happy with the Switch. So I guess, you know, this episode's not just about the Switch past 7 years. It's about us. And about, you know, we planned a lot of things around the Switch, obviously, and Nintendo. But, you know, this podcast has grown with the Switch. And I think that's really cool that we can say that.
It's been cool to build a community with people. We have friends that we've, you know, come to know and love and enjoy company and hanging out with and chatting with from this community that we've created with Nintendo Nostalgia, and just loving Nintendo, but also just sharing life together. And there's new people, new friendships we've made. You know, Chris, Josh, it's really awesome to just, you know, live life with them and talk to them and chat and check on each other and see how everyone's doing. And then, and the people in the community, you know, just, we're always talking, you know, about the things that we love, nostalgia that we love, sharing our Switch stats and what we've been playing and things that we've been loving. And it just keeps on going, and it keeps on giving. And, you know, we get to know each other better in our loves. And, you know, it's created these connections for people, not just for us, but for everyone else. Like, you know, Josh went over to visit one of our fans in Kentucky. Like, he drove over there and met with him as a pretty cool streamer, you know, it's just really, really great to know that not only is Nintendo like part of the equation, but also like people love to hear us and hear what we want to say and have to say and trust our opinions. And it's cool that we have this platform and be able to do this. And it goes far beyond just, you know, the two of us hanging out. Like, we need that time together and geek out about, you know, the things that we love.
Yeah.
But to know that there's other people that hear us and want to be a part of that is just so cool. And I love my community that we have. And if nothing else, even if we're not recording episodes, they're always there. And we talk about the most random things and share jokes and update each other on the latest deals and make sure everybody gets what they're looking for. And you know, just we help each other out and just love Nintendo and being geeky and playing games together.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I know the hardest thing for us is to be able to get together and find a time for everybody to meet up and play games. And that was kind of testament to what we were having trouble with, getting everybody together in one place to record a podcast episode at a time that it worked for everybody.
Right.
And that was severely hurting what we were able to do as a podcast. And, you know, people weren't always in the mood. And then, so we were like, well, let's just add a couple more hosts and then we'll have people that can fill in the gaps. And then suddenly got to the point where like none of us were really available at certain times and meeting the schedules, and it got more complex. And so we wanted to kind of simplify things and get down to just the two of us again. And once our lives are able to be just blocked out and we can do this consistently, and we're finally back to that point. And we want to make sure that we keep this ball rolling. And it's so hard to schedule with so many people, and it's hard to get people together for events. Like you thought maybe no one was going to show up to your party, or maybe Traven was going to show up, and that was all who could make it. And then a couple other people were like, "Oh yay, I freed up. My plans got canceled for the other thing. I'm going to come to your birthday party." And so like that. Definitely. I mean, it could have been a lot less, and that's kind of what we were experiencing with the podcast was just. Hey, what do you want to do next week? When do you want to meet? And then silence. And because we're just so busy and we're not even sure what the next day is going to bring. And so it was hard to do with everybody. And then we also have a lot of technology issues. Even today, we're supposed to start at, 6 on the dot. And we had tons of problems getting technology and hardware and everything like working correctly and sound.
Yeah,
so
it's a little rusty. We had to.
It's even harder when you have people that have tech issues or lower quality mics and headphones and things, and you have like sound bleeding through the mic from the headphones and other things like that. Like if you have background noise or tapping and things, it's just hard to get all of that to work. And the more people you add to it, the more time it takes. And I'll be honest, like I completely am burned out on editing the podcast. Like I can't even think about it without like getting physically sick. I enjoyed it for the longest time, but then it just became such a chore and I had to edit every little click and every little everything. And it was just too much for me to be able to do and keep my attention. And I'd just lose my entire night, if not 2 nights, to do those things. And so we wanted to take a look. It's like, what can we do to make this simpler and go back and really, make this fun again, And it's to a point where like, I'm even starting to feel a little bit like maybe I could do some editing here or there, but I don't want to commit to it because I'm afraid to, because I know that like I still get kind of sick thinking about it. But
it's one toe at a time,
Yeah. And, Jacob's finally feeling the itch to do some of those things with editing. And we do have someone on in our back pocket that we can do to help with editing and things like that. And so like, but we can't ask them to do that with so many different people and so many different times and so many inconsistent times that we meet and trying to get everybody together and never knowing who's going to be able to make it on episodes and everything. And even when we scheduled episodes, always things would come up.
Right.
So it's just we're taking it. We've got a schedule through basically through January, I believe.
Up to like the end of January.
So we've got a good schedule set, and we have a plan. We have a couple guests lined up here or there, but we're ready to be consistent and to bring you, the original nostalgia that this podcast brings to you, and with new experiences.
Not to mention, I mean, I think looking at the podcast and how we've experimented with 3 co-hosts, 4 co-hosts regularly, and just the original 2. I feel like the show is based off nostalgia, right? And I think one thing that we were concerned about as a show internally was, what if we're soaking up all of our nostalgia? What is there to talk about anymore? And the more cooks you have in the kitchen, the quicker that nostalgia well dries up. So, for example, we love our music episodes, and we will bring new music episodes to you in the future.
We better.
We definitely will. But when that first launched, it's like a playlist of 10 songs total, of 5 from you, 5 from me. Well, let's add 4 people total, and everyone's bringing their music. Well, then you realize how much that eliminates song tracks for future episodes, because now we have double the amount of people bringing double the amount of songs to a list. So then it I feel like the idea soaks up so much when there's so many people involved. And again, we're not saying any of this to like bash any of our friends, like absolutely not. No. We're just saying what this podcast has gone through the 7 years, from trials and errors that we've come across. We've learned. We've learned things, what works and what doesn't work, and I feel like now that we've had time off and away and we've reassessed what we think really makes this show the best it can be, I really feel that Ryan and I are going to be able to deliver a show that we used to, of that caliber, and hopefully even better. With fresh ideas and excitement. I'm excited to edit the podcast. The whole reason, like what Aaron said, it got so hard to burn out is because the more people there, more editing you have, the more technical issues there are to try to cover up and cut out. A lot of podcasts just put up the raw audio as it is, guys. We've never been that way, and I think it's the band life. I used to be in a band, and we wanted to have a clean track where we weren't going to just record something and there'd be a mistake on it. We wanted Ryan and I want to deliver a good production to where it sound like Disney made this podcast. We want. Yeah, I'm not saying we're that good. I'm just saying that we try to deliver a clean product to what we feel sounds good and we want to do it. And it just was getting harder and it was burning us out. But, overall, 7 years has come and gone. We've learned a lot, not just about the podcast, but about ourselves and about going through life. I mean, certainly, to be frank with you guys, I'm a bit embarrassed when I think back and look back during my divorce days of 2019 and what I was going through. I was airing my dirty laundry on the show and on social media, and today I wouldn't do that. I've learned and grown from that, and I'm embarrassed that I ever did do that, just because I don't really feel like it was the platform for that, and I'm sorry that I put you guys through that too, but I just feel like the Jacob who I am today is vastly different than the Jacob was then. I'm not like entirely changed as a person. I've just been through a lot more. I've learned. I have different perspectives on things, and I try to handle things differently today than as a 33-year-old than I was when I was 27 when this podcast started. So but this is just the first episode back, and Ryan and I felt it was appropriate that we talk about where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. And we are not joking. We are back regularly, and we're back playing with power more than we ever have. And you will be getting regular episodes every week, and that is the intention, and that is what we plan to follow through on. And we'll make it happen. So, really, Ryan, I don't have much more to say. I just know that we've got so much planned. I'm excited to talk about old games. I'm excited to talk about current games. I'm excited about connecting current games to old games. That's going to be an awesome ride, guys. And just like Blink-182, we're not stopping anytime soon. We're growing, and I hope that this podcast gets bigger than it ever was before. That is a goal of mine. But we're going to do it out of a way that's fun, in a way that's authentic and not forced and draining. So, Ryan, why don't you tell everybody where they can find us again to remind them, and hopefully that they can help spread the word and share it.
Sure thing, man. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. We also have some presence on Amazon Podcasts and Pandora Podcasts, if they're still around. And then we also have a YouTube channel as well. We don't keep up too much on that, keep it up to date, but we do have some videos that you can check out there. Some of our old school OG episodes. You can find us on Facebook at Nintendonos. You can also find us on TikTok at Nintendo_NOS, on Twitter at Nintendo_NOS. I'm sorry, X now. On Instagram at Nintendonosin at gmail.com. You can also still call our hotline. We made sure that didn't go inactive, so you can call us at 317-969-5690. And I think that brings us to the end of the episode, Jacob. Thank you so much, all of our listeners, all of those who supported us all these years, all of our co-hosts in the past, all of those who have come and gone, and those who have left us. And, we miss you dearly, and we love you all. And thank you so much. And as always, later, Preston.
See you guys. We're glad to be back. We'll see you next week.